What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about the DXY for Castus today. Castus the cactus. We're talking about this one for you, my friend. I love talking about the DXY. You know, this is something that we don't talk about all the time, but it's good to keep it fresh in our brains. It moves slower than a lot of things, but it's good to know what it's doing to kind of more or less gauge what the markets are doing. And you know, if we were to compare this, let's see. Hold on. Let's do like a correlation coefficient real quick, because I'm just curious if we do total, the crypto total market cap, and apply that. You can see that a lot of people would assume that the DXY is directly inverse. If it's going up, crypto's going down. If it's going down, crypto's going up. But we've already, several times on this channel, we've discussed how that's not true. Again, I'll go over this. I love to point out this right here. I believe it was this week right here. Bitcoin, like this was the biggest drop. You can see it right out of this whole chart. Biggest red candle you had, and that was the same week that Bitcoin bottomed out, or like it dropped 20-something%. So the DXY and Bitcoin moved down huge in that same week on the 7th of November 2022. You can check it yourself if you don't believe me. But yes, crypto goes through phases, believe it or not, where it's correlated with the dollar. And then most of its life, it is uncorrelated. Right now, it's looking like it's going through a phase. It's still uncorrelated. Even though it's moving up, it's still uncorrelated. Don't think of it as if it's moving up, it's correlated. As long as it's below the zero, when it's a negative number, you are technically not correlated, as in dollar goes up, crypto goes down. Crypto goes down, dollar goes up kind of idea. But as you get neutral, it's a little bit less inverse, a little bit less like that. Maybe the dollar moves down a little bit and crypto moves sideways, something like that. You know, I don't know. But all I'm trying to say is it looks like we're going through a phase of correlation soon. So just keep that in mind. In my opinion, it looks like we're going through a phase of correlation. So if the dollar looks like it wants to move down, that could mean that crypto might move down. If it moves up, that could mean that crypto might move up. And as odd as that sounds, a lot of people are going to be like, it doesn't make. You're going to see the videos, man. No matter what it is, if it moves down and crypto moves down with it, or it moves up and crypto moves up with it, people are going to be like, it doesn't make sense that this is happening. It's like, it makes perfect sense. It happens. It literally it happens all the time. It's a cyclical thing. It's not. Sometimes look at that direct correlation you had over here back in 2016, the end of 2016. And yes, most of its life, it is not correlated. Most of its life, it is. But there are times where we get correlated. Anyways, I'm going to stop saying correlated. If I say it one more time, you got to finish your drink, man. Coronation. So, looking at this for what it is, weekly RSI, it's not really giving me a whole lot to go off of. I suppose it kind of looks bullish-ish right now because you're looking like you want to bounce off your 40. We still have 3 days left in this week, don't we? 2 days left in this week. We still have 2 days left in this week, so you could move down more. If you close below that 40, I would think you go lower, but it looks like you're finding support above / at your oversold zone, so that's nice. With how this looks on a price action basis, I wouldn't be surprised really if you went back to about 101.3 to 101.8, maybe somewhere in there, bottom to top. I would expect that you go below 102 again, so you're probably going to move down, continue to move down is my thoughts. Yeah, daily RSI. In the more immediate terms, you might move up, so maybe you do close this week green. But I think you'll probably get stopped out at the 40 area up here and then move lower. So you might move up to, first you might move up to like 103.4 and then move down. That's kind of my idea at this point in time, right? And I'll go over some long-term stuff here in a second that you may or may not find interesting, but I think it's interesting. Yeah, that 103.2 area, 103.3 area. You're probably going to go up there, find resistance, and then move lower. Yeah, I think so. I think you've got a date with destiny for prices that are below 102, maybe even directly at like 101 itself or lower. But I don't think you're going to go. I personally don't think that you're going to like see some kind of enormous downtrend where you break these lows and you go way back down to like 95. I don't think so. It could happen, but I don't think so. So here's what I wanted to go over in the the long term with the dollar. We can bump it out to the monthly. So let's see. So the last time we were oversold in the monthly, we've gotten to the oversold zone, but we weren't like in it, like right here, all right? So we were here. This was our end of like this downward move that we were in, right? Down, lower lows, lower highs. Now we have higher lows and higher highs, okay? That we've sustained for a long time, since 2008, since the housing market crash. That was the last time we saw oversold readings. Each time that we've found our low point in the DXY, we've been below the 50. We've actually, let's see if we can put a line right there. Right there. We've been at 36, or let's say 37 or lower on the monthly RSI reads, right? Found your low here in price, found your low there. Found your low here in price, found your low there. This isn't really, it's a low, sure, but it's a higher low. It's like, these are significant lows in my opinion. These aren't as significant. It's all significant if you really want to point it out that way, but this to me is a more significant low than this would be. And you see that in the RSI. It goes down to that area as well, yet again. Here, yet again as well. So here we are doing this. I don't think that the DXY by any means is near its low right now. I don't think that you're going to go directly. Again, I don't think that you're going to go directly to $95, but maybe you do pull all the way down to like 96. I say $95. I'm sorry, a 96 reading. It's not dollars. I don't know. It's just the index. It's the value, the rate. I don't know. The calculated rate of which it's matched against every other world currency on this index. Anyways, it wouldn't surprise me if you did pull back to this 123 moving average, which, over the months to come, it might move up to 98, 97, maybe you go a little bit below it, whatever, but probably between 96 to 98 is where you will find your low inevitably, and it will take months, it might even take years to do so, okay? In that time, from here, we could move up first and then move down. You never know what you're going to do. But that's kind of the expectation. Around here, 37 or lower on the RSI is kind of what I'm thinking. 36.5 if you really want to be specific. But if we're looking at this for what it's worth too, when you found your low here, you started consolidating, right? You moved up, you kind of consolidated, you were moving sideways, and you didn't break out for 77 months. 77 months right there, right? You found your high here, and yes, this was your actual high, but I would say that you started consolidating here, okay? And you didn't really break out. Technically you broke out here, but let's just say you found your low that you started to move out of it 75 months here, right? Because technically, again, you didn't break out till over here, but you started moving out. You started having your positive ascension out, your expansion phase, as I've been calling it. So around here, 75, 77, pretty damn close. So if we assume that this consolidation phase is of a similar length to these, 70, let's do it, because it went from 77 to 75, let's do 73, why not? That would put us in late 2028 that the dollar, the US, the DXY is going to be consolidating for, okay? Maybe it sees less time than that. Maybe it's sometime, we get a small amount of time. Even if it was like half that amount of time, which would be, I think, 35, it'd be like 37 bars, right? That would still put us at the end of October, or the end of 2025 in October. By the way, this would be an extremely short amount of time compared to these other consolidation phases, but even if we saw something like that was half as much as this one here, that would still put us at the end of next year. So the dollar is going to consolidate for a while. For crypto, this is good. For stocks, for risk on assets, this is a good thing. You want to be in the consolidation phases, man. Let's do this real quick and we'll finish up the video with this. Okay, so let's do, actually, I want to leave this on. I'll delete this one, but I want to compare it now to SPX. We'll compare it to there, new price scale, and we'll also compare Bitcoin. Not total, because it doesn't have as much historical data, so we'll do Bitcoin. And then I will do this logarithmic, and then I'll do this logarithmic. This is the S&P's price, this is Bitcoin's price, okay? So let's see if we can figure this out. SPX has existed longer than that, though, right? Oh, I'm sorry. This is Bitcoin's price. The orange one is, I should have known that, obviously. Oh, man. Okay. I'm just used to doing Bitcoin as a comparison, so this color made me think of Bitcoin. Anyways, you can see that Bitcoin expanded when, and like found its high here, it expanded throughout this whole consolidation phase. And then it started to go down when the dollar was expanding. And then it found its low and started to move up here during this consolidation phase. Found its high here in the consolidation phase. We double topped. In the midst of the bull market, we double topped as the dollar was expanding, right? Now we are again in a consolidation phase, which at the bare minimum I would think would last until the end of this bull cycle, which would be in October. So we're not going to have that in our way. But you can see here with the S&P, consolidation phase started. You found your low. The DXY actually increased a little bit, and then that's where you found your low in the S&P. And then you've been on a terror. And then expansion on the dollar, you stopped moving up as much. You moved sideways for a little bit. And then toward the beginning of this consolidation phase here, that's when you started moving up again. And then at the end here, when you stopped consolidating where the dollar started to expand, that was near your highs up here. So again, back to that idea that yes, with the DXY, we do see kind of an inverse relation most of the time. What's good for the DXY doesn't tend to be good for the overall markets, for crypto itself, right? It doesn't tend to over time, but there are phases where they're correlated, so don't get confused on that. But the main point of this segment of the video is to show that, back to what I was saying earlier, if we're in this consolidation phase for even half the time that we were last time, which is 35 bars, right? Or it's 37 bars, I'm sorry. It would technically be 37 and a half bars to get half that time, if it'll let me. It would be in October of next year. Okay, so we'd have over a year and a half, essentially. It's technically a little bit more than a year and a half of good times to come, both in the stock market and in the crypto market. So regardless of what the dollar does, whether it moves up, whether it moves down, it's in a consolidation phase right now. It's going to be in a consolidation phase probably longer than just this, but for over a year, probably several years to come. Just because it's in a consolidation phase that much doesn't, or for that long, doesn't mean that it's a non-stop train to the upside for everything, right? Bitcoin took a little pause here in the midst of this consolidation phase. It took a pause here in the midst of this consolidation phase, right? Like we topped off. This was a cycle high at a low point for the DXY, but the DXY found a low point. It started moving up. Bitcoin started moving down. It kind of that inverse correlation again that is prominent most of the time, but not always. Again. But again, seeing this bull market start in a consolidation phase is normal. Seeing it end in an expansion phase is not normal. We've only seen that once, and I think that's why we topped off early last cycle for Bitcoin. We were hindered by that, but we don't have that in the way this cycle. We don't have it in the way this cycle. So I think that Bitcoin's going to see some phenomenal growth. I think the stock markets are going to see some phenomenal growth. And that's really all I got to say, man. I don't know what else to say other than that, but I feel like I've gone over enough stuff. I hope it all makes sense. I do think the dollar will probably, the DXY will bottom out around 96 to 98, somewhere in there, but it will probably take more than a year to get there. Or I mean, maybe it happens this year, but then that doesn't mean that you're just moving out immediately. And it looks like you found a low here. You found a low here in the consolidation phase, another low, and then you boring for a while, and then you went up. Low, another low. A little bit boring, but rather immediately moved up. So who knows when this low is going to come in. It could be this year. It could be sometime next year. It could be in 2026, 2027. I would doubt it's in 2027. I would think it would happen sometime 2026 or earlier. But I don't know, man. I'm talking now. I'm done talking. I hope it all makes sense. If you guys like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. We are looking like we're going into a phase where the dollar and Bitcoin are going to be more correlated, or at least less inversely correlated than they normally are. So whatever the dollar does, Bitcoin could move with it. The dollar could move up as Bitcoin moves up. The dollar could move down and Bitcoin can move down. So don't be swayed by any narratives where they might say like soon the dollar is going down, so Bitcoin's going to be fine. We've got steam. It's like you know better. We just saw the charts, right? If you didn't see it, look back at the beginning of the video where we put on the correlation coefficient. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.